here.
And part?
Yep, yeah. This leafy part that's connected to it. And will you mark off the pancreas for me? Just because I don't like it, and I think that there are a better pancreas if I was to put that on there. Yeah, I just don't like that very much. But I want to say that this is probably it, just like for your own, you know, that's kind of looks really similar, and it also is connected to it. I just think there are better like visual representations of clear pancreas, if I'm going to ask that term. All right, so pancreas, let's see, spleen. So again, our small intestine, right? That's what a lot of this stuff is. That's where we leave after the stomach. And then remember how I said that you can really tell the difference between the small and large intestine. So you guys see that small, large, small intestine, large intestine. And then of course the large intestine ends up going to, it's also considered colon, and it goes to the anus. Larynx, let's see, do we have our larynx in here? It's going to be up here. Let's see, larynx. So that's going to be that ball part, and then what was it? The esophagus is going to be under there. So larynx is going to be this big part right here. And then let me read a couple of these really quick. So our larynx, I know that it has for respiration and vocalization. So your larynx, have you ever seen anybody who had like laryngitis or laryngectomy or whatever? Mm-hmm. Okay. And then trachea is for respiration. Again, you guys already probably know the organism that I'm going to ask trachea on if I decide to do that. Or, you know, there's several that are better than this one. So, but you guys know what a trachea looks like. Oh, I marked it off on here. You guys can mark it off.
You said
okay.
Bulge on top of the esophagus?
Yeah, this part. So the larynx right here. Boom. It's like a box also. You could like touch it if you wanted to. It's kind of hard. Yeah, it's not like a soft tube. It's actually kind of hard like a box.
That's why they call it your voice box.
Yep. And then, so our lungs, right? Our lungs are right here, and they kind of hug our heart.
How big that heart is.
Yeah.
That's the heart.
Yep. So I'll show you guys that in a second, but I also want to show you guys the diaphragm. So when we cut this open, see this part? This was a connective tissue that separated pretty much the heart and lungs from the liver and the intestinal tract. And so you can see it right here. It's still a little bit connected. I really want you guys to pay attention to this part. So see how it's all connected right here? And you see how the lungs right here is separated by the diaphragm from the liver. So all of this was connected at one point, and then I cut through that diaphragm to separate these two body cavities.
So that's the diaphragm?
Yep, this flap is the diaphragm. So yep, pay attention to that part. This flap is the diaphragm.
And it separates stomach from them.
It basically separates these two sections of the body cavity. I mean, I don't, so the diaphragm.
It inflates the lungs.
Yeah, so the diaphragm.
Your lungs are a negative.
So allows inhalation and
when it pulls down, it
exhalation.
inflates the lungs like balloons.
Separates the thoracic cavity from the abdominal cavity.
You said it separates the lungs and liver?
Well, it separates the thoracic cavity from the abdominal cavity. But yeah, if you're looking at it like relative positioning, right? Lungs are on top of it, liver is below it. So diaphragm, right? That's what this flap is. That's what this flap is. You guys ever hear that that's when you get hiccups, it's a spasm in your diaphragm?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I'm not really sure if that's true, but
yeah, I think it is. Because, like I said, the diaphragm pulls the lungs open, and so if you have an issue with it, then it keeps pulling them open.
Yep. All right, and then so where are we at? Diaphragm. So thymus and thyroid gland, you guys can mark off. So now we're gonna look at our atrium, right? So again, you guys see these parts right here, boom, boom. So this is gonna be the left atrium, this is gonna be the right atrium, and this is gonna be the ventricle. So see this septa right here? Yeah. So you can actually see the difference between the left ventricle and the right ventricle. So the pig's left and the pig's right. Left ventricle, right ventricle, separated by the septum. So then we also have our aorta. Oh, and just to clearly tell you guys, the atrium is where the blood is deposited, and then the ventricle is where the blood is pumped from. So then we have our aorta, which is our main blood vessel, and it's going to be at the top of the heart. So,
Main blood vessel.
yep. And let's see. Okay, you guys see it right here? This thing right there.
Big old tube.
Mm-hmm.
Can
Right
you
there.
slightly turn?
There we go.
Oh, okay, that like one right there.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yep. So see it coming right from here, from the ventricle.
So that's the aorta, you said?
Aorta. Yep.
Which was the atrium?
So see these right here?
Okay, yeah.
They look darker. Left and right atrium, left, right ventricle, aorta. Okay, and then the post cava or the caudal vena cava. So the purpose of that, it brings blood from the liver back to the heart. So that's the main blood vessel at the bottom of the heart, and you can sometimes track it from the liver back over here. So can you guys see this section? And again, see this connective tissue that we had to cut through? But it's basically going to come from down here, from the liver, and then back up into the heart.
So it's that white stuff under there?
Yeah, I mean, this is some connective tissue. We could cut it away, but see this right here? It's going to be this, and it's going to come right back in there.
Okay.
So it's
So like a little bridge.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, I mean, I could probably pin it like something like right there, just to be clear. So then our kidneys. So something neat about the kidneys is right here. You guys see this connective tissue? And when it's fresh and you're cutting it open, it really kind of hides it. But on the other side, I had to cut it out. So see how I actually cut it out from the wall? And so it's right here. But it's really connected by a lot of tissue to the abdominal wall.
So it's just that white
And
looking
the
ball.
kidneys,
Yep.
like they're like
Paired.
yeah, they're
Right here. So this is its right kidney.
They're kind of big, huh?
That's its left kidney. Yeah. Yeah.
And then for this one, we do need to know the left, the right, and all that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, if it's not on the term, like if it's not a term on there, I probably won't take. If it says left and right ventricle, yes, put left and right. If it doesn't say left or right kidney, I'll just take kidney. You know. And then our ureter. So the kidney, right, filters nitrogenous waste, and then our ureter brings filtered nitrogenous waste into the bladder. And I want to say that was a pain whenever we were looking for it. Will you flip one of these? Urogenital. One more time.
Do you want me to look it up?
Yeah, maybe. Do one more time. I just don't want to point it out without getting there. Sure, try one more time. Okay, here we go. Ureter. Oh, right, that's right. So it connects from the kidney. So it connects from the kidney, and I believe that it's this white tube right here. Or, oh, here we go, this thing. So you guys see this thing. There we go, I separated it last time. So we've got our ureter. So it's going to be this tube that goes from the kidney. And again, that brings filtered nitrogenous waste into the bladder.
Can you see it on the other side where there's all the connective tissue, or is it just covered?
No, I'd
completely?
probably have to cut it. I mean,
Oh, okay.
it looks like this right here, yeah. That's it.
Oh,
And
okay.
you will cut it out, right?
Yes, I'm going to cut everything clearly. I don't want it hidden by connective tissue.
Okay.
So then with that, we go to our bladder, which let's double check on here really quick. So the urinary bladder, right? That one was kind of weird. And I want to say that we called it this thing, even though I wasn't quite sure. I don't know if you guys want to check it, but it wasn't very filled in this one. Like it wasn't, as quite as like expanded as I would think.
It's that white thing in the middle.
Urinary bladder.
Yeah. It's I don't know where the two pink. It's.
I think
the-
I think that if I cut this connective tissue, it might separate that some. So we're just gonna call this our urinary bladder, but likely I'm not really gonna ask about it. But just in case, Steven or somebody wants us to put it, if I pin bladder, because, I'm gonna pin this thing.
Okay. The middle thing or just the thing, like the whole thing?
This thing.
Okay.
And then our umbilical cord. So that was something too. When this was all connected together, right, we did have this umbilical cord that was tied off. So it was like this. Boom. It was like that. And then what I did is I made an incision down the middle. Have you ever seen people get surgery and they cut around their belly button? So I went around the umbilical cord and then I cut down, and then I cut around the umbilical cord this way, so that way it could stay connected. So I kept it connected. So what you see here, right, this is part of like the inside of the body cavity and the outside. And so I kept that connected. So this thing right here is the umbilical cord.
What's that red thing?
It's string that they tied around it on the outside of the body. And then as for, so the umbilical cord, that's what connects the fetal pig to the mother, to the placenta. That's where it gets nutrition from. And then ovary, vagina, testes, scrotum, penis, you guys can mark off. I'm not going to ask about those. So one structure found in mammals that's found in no other class.
Mammary glands.
And placenta. And then how is mammalian circulatory system different from previous organisms? Exactly.